Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be discussing our expenses for the month of October. As usual, our expenses are broken down into 10 key categories.
Yep. And as we normally start, we always let you know what our budget for the month is. Kiran's usually the planner and everything, and I'm the numbers guy. So we budget 4,000 Canadian a month, which depending on the exchange rate works out to about just slightly over 2,800 US dollars each month, depending on what the dollar's doing. And then we also put in the disclaimer, of course, every month that our costs and everything that we're going to talk about today is about our living costs. So we do not include our flight, our arrival, or departure from here, but we do include any transportation within the city location we are at.
So let's start with our first category, which is accommodation.
All right, so for accommodation, the total was about $1,168 total. Now, we did have a couple of different location accommodation-wise here, so we'll give you a quick breakdown of that. First place we stayed, Kiran?
We spent the bulk of our time in Merida, Mexico, so we had 22 nights in Merida.
Okay, and those 22 nights ended up costing us about $1,050 in total for those 22 nights.
And then we also had 4 nights back home in Toronto.
Yeah, and those were zero cost, so we'll definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. And then we ended up spending two of the nights for October didn't cost us anything as well, and that's because we did overnight flights from Mexico to Toronto and then from Toronto to Portugal.
Yeah, those were our red-eye flights. We hadn't done those in quite some time, so that was a bit of a challenge. I can't sleep on planes, so even though there were red-eye flights and people tell you to try to sleep, I couldn't. I could never get comfortable. So those are some long travel days for me.
Yeah. And then our final 3 nights were spent in Portimão, Portugal, where we are currently.
Yeah, and correct. And those 3 nights are part of this month. So the cost was about $118 for those 3 nights.
Yeah. So all in all, 31 nights. Some of them didn't cost us anything and some did. But I think overall our budget wasn't too bad for this month. So let's talk about food, which is our next category, which is groceries.
Yeah. So groceries for the month, we actually had 5 trips to the groceries. Now we consider our grocery trips per day. So if we've gone to 2 different locations, that still counts as 1 grocery trip because it's for that specific day that we went. We did 5 grocery trips that totaled about $408 in total. And then that broke down between all 3 locations as well.
Yeah. We did 2 grocery trips in Merida, and that cost us about $78 US dollars. And the reason it wasn't very much is because we already had majority of the essentials that we had purchased last month. So we only needed a few top-up items.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then we did 1 grocery trip while we were home back in Canada for those 4 days, and that total is $110. Definitely a lot more expensive getting groceries back home.
Yeah.
As you can see, compared to our 2 trips in Merida cost us only $78, where 1 trip cost us $110 in Canada. And then after that, we arrived in Portimão, and we actually did 2 grocery trips in Portimão. Now here we did spend a lot more as well. We spent about $219. Now that was, of course, because we need to get our staples, right?
Right. We needed to stock up our kitchen. I mean, our accommodation here is a full 1-bedroom with a kitchen, so our plan is to be cooking at home a lot more. And this week, we needed to do really all of the essentials. And I think the bulk of what we got, at least the essentials, should last us for the duration of our stay here. We'll just need to do some smaller trips on a weekly basis. I think we're trying to cut back on buying on a daily basis because then that's where the costs add up. Yeah. It's easy to get to the grocery store daily because it's so close to us. And then we end up getting carried away getting unnecessary items. So I think we need to curb a little bit of our shopping. Yeah. I think that's about it for groceries.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll put a few of the items that we've purchased from either location so you have an idea of what the cost is. All right, let's move on to Drum's favorite category next, which is dining out.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Of course, food is what drives me, but let's start with the totals. Let's get right into the numbers. There's a lot of numbers here, so I'm going to be checking my cheat sheet here. So I apologize, but the total was about $395. And then that breaks down into two categories for us every month. We actually have our snacks and sort of coffee breaks, and then we have our dinners and lunch and meal, our main meals. So with the snacks and coffees, we had 10 times that we went to a location, which totaled about $66. And then we had 13 actual meals, which totaled $309.
And I think maybe it might be helpful if we gave a bit of a breakdown of just average pricing for meals in the different locations. As we mentioned, we spent the bulk of our time in Merida, Mexico, and we did go out there quite a bit, just meeting up with our expat friends and just doing our outings. And in total, we spent about $354 in Merida, and an average meal at a decent restaurant was about $41, and I think that one was a full meal for you, full meal for me, and we had 2 alcoholic beverages.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And then at a very local Mexican restaurant, like a mom and pop place, we had gorditas, and that only cost us about $4. So it was quite inexpensive. Yeah.
And then on the other side, when we were in Canada, we did go out for one meal. We actually picked up wings. And I think it was about 2 pounds of wings and a side order of onion rings ended up costing us about $39. So not too bad. Pricing has definitely gone up for sure compared to what we remember.
Yeah.
And then the other item we had there was we had one snack out, was basically $3. I think that was a coffee.
Couple of coffees.
Coffees, that's right. Yeah.
So it wasn't too much. And then since we arrived in Portimão, the 3 days that we've been here, 4 days we've been here, we did go out for one meal, which was pizza. I think we had pizza bruschetta.
That's right.
And we didn't have any alcohol. It was just a bottle of water. And that meal cost us $25 US. And then we had a snack. I can't remember what we snacked on, but it was about $7. Yeah. So, I remember what it was. It was at the airport. When we arrived in Lisbon, we couldn't get into the lounge because the lineup was too long, and I really needed a coffee and something to eat.
Yeah, that was one coffee and a croissant.
Exactly.
That's right.
So thank you to airport pricing. Yeah, thanks for airport pricing, which we also spent in Mexico when we left in Mexico City. So some of the snack pricing there was for the coffee and a very expensive treat.
But overall, for our dining out, as we said, the bulk of it, like I said, the total is $395. $354 of that was in Mexico. So that's where we spent the bulk of our dining this month.
But for the amount of meals and snacks we had there, that's quite inexpensive. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to personal care next.
Okay, so for personal care, we did have some items this time, and the total was about $139. Now, we do break this into 2 different items. We have our beauty hygiene kind of scenario for personal care, and then our clothing. So for the beauty hygiene, it was about $129, and then the clothing we purchased was about $11.
Yeah, and we didn't, the clothing was just we bought something.
One t-shirt.
One t-shirt.
Yeah, I got myself a t-shirt. The rare times I actually buy something. So we did end up getting one t-shirt because I really liked it.
Yeah. And then for beauty hygiene, it was just Tom needed mosquito repellent really badly in Mexico because the mosquitoes were very bad. So keep in mind, if you're showing up during rainy season, you need a lot of mosquito repellent because they are quite horrific. And then I had my nails done, which was around $18, which is really cheap actually. And then I had a haircut, color and cut while I was back in Toronto, and that was around $100. So I think our expenses went too much in this category this month.
Not too bad, no. Yeah. Definitely you've had cheaper haircuts in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But we were at home, convenient, someone you were familiar with, pay the extra money.
Yeah, just getting back to my normal routine back home was nice.
Yeah.
Let's move on to health insurance next.
Okay, so for our health insurance, we do have this category. It doesn't change for us. We travel with health insurance. We recommend everybody do. Our total for the month was $250. That covers both of us for any emergency medical. That's the health insurance we cover ourselves with. We don't have the full, complete dental, massage, physio that some people do travel with.
Yeah, and we noticed like since we started getting this, the prices do go up a little bit as over the years, just because of the age bracket that we fall in. I think anyone over 50, you're going to find the health insurance is slightly more. So it's better to travel when you're younger. I guess that's the advice.
Oh, definitely. And then the other problems, of course, that we talked about in this category also is that if you have pre-existing conditions, such as I do, it makes it a bit challenging to try to find medical and health insurance. So, if anybody has any other ideas or suggestions company-wise out there, let us know. I know people have asked us who we are covered with. We're not sponsored, but we are traveling with Genki.
And so far it's worked out okay. Yeah. Okay, moving on from health insurance, let's talk about medical care.
Okay, so medical care. Next, of course, for us this month, we did have some items. There are months that we don't have anything. This month, we actually looked at doing some dental cleaning and work done. So we definitely had a total of about $214. So not bad overall. Now, we were looking at getting cleaning and whitening done for both of us. But for Kiran, we ended up doing the cleaning and the whitening, and the cleaning, and it was $163 in total for both those procedures. For myself, I only ended up with the cleaning, which cost $50. Now, the story behind that, of course, we both were going to get them whitening done, but I have a bit of a problem sometimes with my gag reflex. We tried, and this dentist that we went to was really good. They worked with me for a little while, spent almost 45 minutes to an hour trying to make sure we get everything done, the procedure going. We got about halfway through, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. So we had to call it quits.
Yeah. It is a lengthy procedure. Like if you are interested in doing it, do reach out to us and we can share the link with you. But there's 3 dentists at this location and they all spoke English extremely well. The procedure that I had is really a 2-hour procedure. My recommendation would be to break it up into 2. So you get your cleaning done one day and then you come back to do the whitening another day. 2 hours is kind of long to be sitting in a dental chair. But even if you went in just to do your general cleaning, the experience was fantastic. And it's actually done by the dentist compared to what we experience back home. Usually our dental hygienist does the cleaning and then the dentist comes in for the rest of the procedure. But we've noticed even when we had this done in Asia, it's always a dentist that does the procedure. But I would recommend it. I think the pricing is extremely fair. Even if it's just for cleaning, like $50 US, it's extremely cheap.
And we actually met another couple there who are living, I think they're about 40 minutes away.
Yes.
They're on the coastline, and when we were talking to them, they are willing to drive in to this location because they think it's so good as well.
And let's move on from that to the fun stuff, which is entertainment.
Entertainment, yes. Now, here's another category that sometimes we have $0 in. We tend to do self-guided tours or just walk around and explore on our own. But while we were in Mexico, we did have to go to a couple of different locations. So the total for the month, very high for us, is $327. But definitely worth every penny that we paid for most of the attractions.
Right. Yeah.
So the first place we went to was?
Yeah, we went to a cenote with our friends David and Mary. David was kind enough to drive us out there, so we didn't have to pay for a tour to go out there. And that one was just an entry fee. So for the 2 of us, it was $75.
$75. And this cenote was amazing. Actually, all of our entertainment that we're going to talk about here, you can check out our video that we did in regards to them, and you'll see how amazing these places are.
Yeah, and I think our friend David who lives in Merida says this is the best cenote that he's been to, and he's been to many. Yeah.
All right. So then after that, the next attraction we did was actually we did a full day tour. Something that we don't tend to do too often, but we were like, we have to see the pyramids, right? We have to see the Mayan ruins, and they are out of town. So I mean, without a vehicle, easiest way to do it is through a tour.
Yeah, you can get there by bus if you wanted to take public transportation. We just chose not to do that.
And that totaled, with the tour plus the entrance fees, because they're not included, cost us about $202. Now that was a tour with the Uxmal pyramid.
Yes.
Mind you, Choco Story Museum, and then they provided a lunch at a nice local restaurant, and then also a final visit to a smaller, more quaint cenote.
Yeah, so that was nice because we got to experience a very fancy cenote, and then also one that's more local.
More just rugged, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, a tip we can give you is when you're doing the Uxmal pyramid, the entrance fee is actually broken into two separate fees. There's the entrance fee, which cost us for two people $52, and you can pay cash or card for that one. And then there's a sort of a government sort of fee that they have that they charge. Now that one there was $11 for the two of us, but they only accept cash. So if going, make sure you do have some cash on hand.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to run into a little bit. They do have ATMs there, but we tend not.
There was only one ATM machine, and it wasn't one that we would choose to use.
No, we try to use more bank attached ATMs at that.
Yeah. And this was a full day tour. We were gone from 8:30 a.m. and we didn't get back till 6 p.m.
Yeah.
They did mention that lunch was included. They failed to mention it was a really nice 3-course lunch, which it was actually a lot of food. Yeah. So for us, we would recommend the tour. And again, if you're interested in a similar tour, if you're in the area, reach out to us and we can share the link for the people that we used in town. Oh, the other tip would be when we went to book this tour, we went later in the day. I think we went around 2:30 p.m. and the cutoff for the next day tour is 3 p.m. And we were able to negotiate the price a little bit. So the posted price isn't necessarily the price that you pay. But that's only later in the day if they're trying to fill out some spots, right? If they have some spots
and
left.
And if you're looking for the next day,
yeah,
right? I mean, it, depending on your scheduling, things like that. All right.
And then I think one other thing in here was we went on a food tour, and there's a tip included in here for that as well.
Yeah. Now, there was one thing that we followed some advice from a friend, and we went to the Museum of Music. And yes. Now that one there, I mean, it was when we went to pay, it was $23 for the two of us. We had a great experience when we went to purchase the ticket. As you could see, the person behind the counter was very cute and furry. so that was good. But what was your overall experience in the museum?
It was nice to get into the museum, like to get out of the heat. And my personal opinion is I don't think it's worth paying for this one. But that's me. Like you might feel differently. We actually paid for 3 people.
That was for 3 people.
Because it was for the 2 of us, and then we paid for a friend that's local, so it didn't cost as much for that one.
No.
But I don't know. That was my opinion. I don't think it's worth it. Because there's other free museums in town that we think was far more enjoyable.
Yeah, and we're not music experts, so we don't. They have the history and things like that there and stuff. So if you're into that, then definitely probably be worth it. But for us, unfortunately, it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. So that's it for entertainment. Let's talk about how we get around, which is transportation.
Okay, so next category, transportation. The total was $126 roughly, and this broke down into 2 items this time. We had trains/buses, and then we had our ride shares. So for the ride shares for the month, $93 is what we're with that portion of the total, and the bulk of it actually was an Uber ride from home to the Toronto airport. That was about $49 out of that 93. So that was a good chunk of it. The rest of it was, we did not bad, 8 Uber rides in Merida, and Mexico, sorry, and then 2 Uber rides in Portimão, just getting to the airports and the train station there. So not bad overall. Now, the other side of the equation is our bus trains. So now for the bus, we actually, when we first came back to Toronto, we took from our first time ever, which we didn't know existed, there was a bus from the airport to our accommodation, which cost us $18.
Yeah,
so,
that was really cheap.
So it was really cheap compared to as when we were leaving, the $49 for the ride. So considerably cheaper than taking the Uber. So definitely beneficial there.
Yeah.
And then the train was...
The final one was the train when we got into Portugal.
Yes, when we arrived here in Portugal, we flew into Faro, and then we had to get from the airport to the train station, and then from the train station to Portimão. And that train ride cost us only $15 for the two of us.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure even in Portugal, there are buses that would have gotten us from the airport to the train station. But this is where, we had an overnight flight, and sometimes we make that sacrifice and say, we'll pay the extra, right? Especially when you're carrying luggage around. I think Dom's more likely to take the bus. Like, he'll sacrifice and say, no problem, we'll take the bus. And I sometimes will just say, I'm going to be lazy and let's just take the easier route, which is to take an Uber. Yeah.
But we can't complain. I mean, once we got to the train station, we purchased our tickets, $15 for the train, and it was like over an hour.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, it was a long train ride, and it's a local train. It was comfortable. It was nice.
Yeah. Let's talk about our next category, which is miscellaneous.
All right, so miscellaneous. We did have some items this month, and it totaled $357. So a good chunk of money there for us this month, and it consisted of a few items. First thing is I needed to get a new international license. So that cost us a little bit of money back home in Canada.
Yeah.
But now I'm good in case we decide to ever rent a car, I'm good to go.
We're good for the year.
For the year.
Yeah. And then we also needed a few more items that we were restocking. So our Amazon purchase was around $258, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all items like we consider anything that didn't fall in any other categories under miscellaneous item. But the other line item in here are bank fees.
The bank fees, yeah. And our bank fees, not tremendous, about $14. And usually that consists of us either transferring funds or doing conversions for purchases. Not sponsored once again here, but we do use the Wise card, and it's a card that a lot of travelers we've seen use. And we've actually switched to just tapping with the Wise card and letting it do the conversion. And for 37 transactions that we did in the month using the card, it only charged us about $8. So for 37 transactions, so not bad.
Yeah. And then the other fee, part of the bank fee, is when we transferred a lump sum of money from our bank to the Wise card, because it's a Visa debit. That cost us around $6. So I think all in all, like considering the fact that we were moving around and not having to worry so much about doing conversion of currencies at different countries, like we found this card to be useful, and the fees are not too bad at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And as Kiran mentioned, and one of the benefits why we use this card also is that it is classified as a prepaid card. So I just feel safety and security wise, it's a lot better because it only holds what we transferred to it. So if we lose the card or someone compromises it or whatever, we don't lose all of our money. We just lose whatever's on the card itself.
And it's come in handy. Like we've been using it for the entire time that we've been full-time traveling, and it's come in very handy. So shall we go to the last category, which is recurring?
Yes, our recurring. Okay, so this is our final category every time we do this video. It consists of 3 items: our cell phone, our media subscriptions, and our life insurance. So things that we definitely need and can't live without. Now we have actually broken it down slightly. When we were basically running off 2 cell phone plans. Normally,
Yeah.
sometimes we'll just run off 1 cell phone plan, but for the last few months, we've been doing 2 because we've been home. And great thing about it is we could keep using that same plan while we were in Mexico. So that was a total of about $65, if I'm correct, for both.
That also included, actually, that's our entire cell phone.
Oh, sorry, that's our entire cell phone. Correct.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Thanks for having me. No, for the cell phone, just in Canada was $56, and then the portion that we're using right now in Portugal, the eSIM, for the first 15 days is $8.
Yeah.
So that's where that total 65 comes from. Correct.
Yeah. And then as John said, our plan in Canada was a Canada, US, Mexico plan. So we were able to use the same phones in Mexico without paying additional fees. So that came in really handy.
Yeah.
And then we also pay for our media and subscriptions in this category.
Yeah. So our media subscription total was $46. Now that consists of our streaming, watching any of our shows, any of that kind of stuff, plus our iCloud storage. So things that we need, and I need to watch my shows, Kiran needs to watch hers. So definitely worth spending that money.
Yeah.
And then the third item is our life insurance. We still carry our life insurance, do need it, and that's about $75. Not much to say there about that.
Yeah. So I think our recurring, it's fairly consistent month to month. It just varies a little bit because of exchange fees. We did notice, like, in the last 6 months or so, our media subscription fees have gone up a little bit, and we'll have to revisit that.
We're going to revisit
when things
that.
are due in a year's
definitely.
time, and maybe cut out some of the stuff that we really don't need.
Yeah. And our cell phones, like I said, we're running 2. We can bring that down. We tend to run off 1, and then back home, our cell phones cost a lot. So in other countries, we know we'll be able to save on that cell phone category again.
All right, so that's all of our expenses for the month of October. I'm almost afraid to find out what this costs.
Yeah, so the end of the video, everybody's been waiting for the grand total. So the grand total for the month, surprise, surprise, it's over budget. We're at $3,571 roughly. So definitely over our budget for the month. To be more exact, about 24.92%, rounded 25% over budget this month. Now, we do know that where we were over budget because we had some expenses that you might not actually have. We did the dental care. We had the excursions, so the entertainment, the tour and stuff that we went on. And then we had some restocking items that we had to do when we were back home just to replenish certain items and things like that. So those totaled close to $884 just for those 3 items there, which, would have brought us under budget.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We need to do these. These are things that we have to do. And, hopefully we'll be able to make it up this month here or within the next month. So overall for the year, hopefully we'll be able to hit our target.
Yeah. Basically, that's it for the our full expenses for the month of October. And we'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts and let us know how do you think we did this month? Do you think our expenses were reasonable, considering the places that we visited? I think last month also shows us when we move around, it does cost us a bit more versus staying in the same place for a full month. And then if, do you have any tips on how we could decrease our spending and stay within budget? I think we've done pretty well, but it would be fantastic to hear from you. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do hit the notification bell so then you won't miss our upcoming video. We're going to be doing our videos around Portugal coming up. And until next time, thank you for watching and let's travel together.